We'll call the Troy Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, February 12th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. McGarry.
Here.
Mr. Wolke.
Here.
Mrs. Ehrlich.
Here.
Mr. Titterington.
Here.
Mayor. Here. Mr. Westmeyer.
Here.
Mr. Emmerich. We have a quorum.
Okay, the minutes are attached and they were sent out to everyone. Is there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we approve the minutes. The first and only item of business is a historical district application, certificate of appropriateness, 15 South Market Street, review of the painted storefront. No action was taken on this last meeting, so the staff have a report.
She is not proceeding with any additional requests to the Planning Commission, so we're really just here to review the lagoon color, and we're going to pass around a color swatch. We did provide a little bit of staff analysis as it relates to the design manual, so that's A through E. Really, when we looked at this, a concentration of similar colors on the same block should be avoided. Well, there are no similar colors on the same block except the next door building, which we approved back in June. The storefront was previously painted, and there is only 2 colors, so it does meet the C requirement. It's not high gloss paint. Really, the gray area comes in with E, which talks about neon or day glow hues, which really there's some interpretation there. When we dug into day glow hues, and what that really means is that it's very bright fluorescent colors that appear to glow in the daylight. So it's like what's used in like safety vests. So I'm like, it doesn't really meet that. So ultimately, there's some level of preference here, and whether you like it or not. So in staff's opinion, it does meet the criteria for Design Manual Section 2.6. However, we acknowledge that it could look better if the storefront was darker to match the upper windows. That concludes our report.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
So a couple questions, or a comment and a question. Well, I'll make it in the form of a question. Under A, you mentioned a concentration of similar colors. It's almost like you're contradicting yourself. You're saying, yeah, there's not a concentration of those colors there, but if she's granted this forgiveness, then there would be, because those are 2 different buildings, but they would have the same color scheme on both. So there would be a concentration, probably the starkest example of which being that they're right next to each other.
Correct. Yep, that's correct.
So which is it? There's not a concentration?
There would be a concentration if this does get approved, being that they are 2 separate properties. What we used, our rationale for this was the storefront as it sits currently is the same material. So it kind of looks like one storefront already. It's like some of it's some aluminum that goes into some wood. It was kind of made to look like one storefront, so that was our rationale. But technically, it is 2 separate storefronts. Yes.
This is not the color that they painted. This is the trim of the windows above the illegally painted building?
That is my understanding, is that she provided this color swatch to us.
Well, this does look kind of like the upper floor, but that helps make the point a little bit more that they already have this color above the illegal bottom painted building, the southern building.
I disagree. It says this is lagoon, and if they're calling this lagoon, that is not the same color. But this lagoon
No, I'm saying this lagoon
the original
is
color from the bottom was.
That's what we presented back in June.
That's the color we approved?
That is what was included with the application that came in June.
Is this what was painted, that is the non-day glow, non-emergency vest blue that is out there?
No.
It's really hard telling. I held up the color swatch.
Is it being represented as that color? Or is this the color of the second, third story trim windows of the brick storefront southern building? Which one is this? Is this the one that was painted?
So in the packet that was approved back in May or June, that color lagoon was on the storefront.
For number 13 or number 15?
For 13.
Which
and
was
then
in the north building,
yes,
which was
and then they accidentally painted 15, which is the southern building, with that same color. When you hold that color up, it looks like it represents more of the trim color than it does the front color. But looking in the packet, when you hold them up, they're very similar. So,
well, okay, regardless, now we're saying that both buildings, at least the first floor and the window trim on the north building, were not painted lagoon, or at least what was represented to us. They were painted I think it was almost a teal, or
I think it was a bluish building bluish color that they painted the front, and then the trim work looks like it's painted the lagoon, which
trim
is not
work on the south building,
correct,
not on the north building.
Correct. Yes, on the south building.
But that's okay. So we may have a bigger problem then, that they only painted too much on the first floor, doing both buildings, but the entire building, with the exception of the south window trim, was painted the wrong color?
We think so. We think so. Did you get the blue? Do we have the color?
That is the only color swatch I got. Was that?
That is not the color that's on the building.
That is kind of the question. Is that the actual color they painted? I really can't verify it. It doesn't look to be the same color.
No,
but that is what we approved in June of last year.
Well, we did it based on this swatch color.
Correct.
And they painted something that did not look this way. Then I see that as a much bigger issue, that they've got to go back and paint this color on the whole building and get rid of that blue completely. Now, that goes back to the conversation about the yellow versus the green versus the yellow and the blue, and did we really approve that yellow-blue I hope not. Combination? I don't remember us seeing that color scheme or that color match the first time.
I have the original submittal from the June meeting that has the lagoon color swatch that was included in our application, and the staff report as well with the application.
Okay, but if you just flashed that, and the yellow,
there's no way.
That was represented as more of a greenish yellow, not the bright yellow that was actually painted.
Lemon yellow.
Well, so you have to, as Austin talking about, you have to grab the swatch and go up to it, because what you have there is a color copy of a copy of a swatch.
Which is why we don't want to see applications unless you have the actual swatch from Sherwin-Williams or whichever paint company.
That is the swatch that she provided to us and we approved back in June.
So the yellow is the yellow that was approved.
Okay, but you showed us a Xerox copy of that swatch.
Even if it's Xerox copy, both of them are darker than what was painted.
I don't disagree with you.
Which is why that's where I was saying I would.
You're saying if that swatch outside across the street and held it up, it would match what's on the building?
I'm saying we did that today, and it looks like it's a lighter blue. That's on the building, then the color swatch that was represented, that was approved by the planning commission.
So do you agree with us that that does not match the color that the building was painted?
I think the building was painted a different color swatch than that swatch.
The swatch to me looks like how they painted the trim on the second building, which is very nice, I think.
Yeah, I would agree. Both those colors are darker than what was actually painted.
And it's nice to have
the. I know we've got whatever the pad of,
We probably do.
swatches.
The yellow color, we probably have the yellow color downstairs. We didn't bring it up because I think the yellow color matches
Yeah.
the color swatch. When you hold it up to the thing, the color swatch matches what they painted on the building.
This rendering,
That color swatch, if you take that color swatch, walk over there, it looks like it matches. The green
the color
or the blue
swatch that
does
you're
not.
holding
The yellow,
narrowly and up here and not showing us.
yeah, the one that was approved back.
Do you
I don't
have
have
that
it
color swatch
here.
downstairs?
Yeah, we can,
Can you go get it?
there's two versions, I'll just go get it.
But I would agree, yellow is pretty darn close to what is in that packet, to what I would say they painted it, but the aqua or teal blue is not even close to.
And maybe the actual swatch will show it more than that. And, you know, you recall the Redmond's building, you know, we thought we were approving a darker red trim on that, and it shows up, especially when the light hits it just right, as a very bright red. So I'm not as much concerned about the yellow chartreuse, whatever color you want to call it, but that goes far in explaining why we appear all to be confused about the blue on the first floor.
It is nice.
It doesn't look like anything like this.
It is nice. It is nice when the applicant's in attendance at the meetings, because we can ask these questions of them. When they're not here, it makes it a little more difficult, because then we're making assumptions of this is what our take is without a representation from the other side.
We've been struggling with trying to get an application as well as getting an appearance for several months now.
My
So
problem.
I'm beyond that myself. I don't know about everybody else.
No, it's disappointing.
While we're waiting for the swatch, the yellow swatch, my problem is that you have two separate buildings that are painted. Number 13 was approved, and now we think it was painted the wrong color. But these are two separate buildings that should be painted differently, that should not have two separate upper floors but the same lower floor. Is just confusing to anybody going by. I want to see two separate buildings looking different. And isn't there something about the number 15 is a different style building?
Yeah, so the 15 South Market is a different style, and it has different scale levels. So it's a 3-story building versus a 1.5.
What's the color?
It's a chartreuse.
You want the number?
The number.
0073.
0073.
So while they're looking that up, I guess I'm not okay with the southern building being painted the teal blue.
The whole first floor, or
The first floor, because it doesn't match. I don't think it blends well with the second and third floor. And then now,
So you're talking specifically about the south building?
the south, but then now I'm also, because I questioned that when we approved that teal color, which it doesn't look like we did, but,
Pass your iPad around.
And guys, I would say no more of this. We've got to have actual samples.
Yeah, I agree.
How do I feel? I feel that that is not the color that I voted on to approve.
There it is.
It doesn't look like the lagoon to me. It doesn't look like the swatch we were shown. This is the original. So where's the, oh, there it is.
Mhm.
These are the colors that we voted on.
Do we have the chartreuse?
Yes. He's getting it. It's at the
I'm not concerned with the chartreuse. I'm concerned with
chartreuse is fine. fine.
Well, you're flashing and it's looking like just as much yellow as we thought then.
It's a lot of yellow.
It's yellow.
Right. We have, we have permanently borrowed this palette of,
The very top one.
yeah.
I remember seeing that.
I'm okay with that.
The problem is they update
I
those
mean-
colors like every 3 months, so we got to just
Yeah,
make
not
sure.
that, not that much.
But that chartreuse has a little green in it.
Yeah.
The blue here doesn't look like it has any, I'm sure it does, because it's
Green.
blue, we'd have to have some green in it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like it would go with the greens that's in the chartreuse.
That's not, the blue is not the color that they play.
I would even argue that that yellow is not the same. That is a
Well,
very
they said they
living.
were- you said you took the swatch up there and matched it.
I would like to know what the window trim on the second building is. That
tall
looks like
building?
lagoon.
So the window trim,
I-
window trim, we don't have that swatch because it's supposed to be exactly like for like, as like a repair and maintenance item, which then doesn't require planning commission approval. So we don't have that exact color swatch.
Too bad, because that looks like lagoon to me.
Okay.
Mhm.
That looks like the color that I voted on for,
And that picture there, this one, it's actually
I
closer.
mean, or I've misunderstood. That's,
So what's our step in regards to asking for the owner to come back, even though I think we've asked to discuss? Like I said,
I think we need to get something on the record, and we haven't been so far because this thing is dragged on.
I mean, I agree. I don't, that lagoon color that is actually painted is not the lagoon that I would have approved in May or June. It's not even close. And the yellow, I'm okay, or chartreuse, that's fine, that's that second floor of the north building. But I don't agree that the south building first floor should be painted the same as the first floor of the north building either.
so you have two different issues.
So you have two different issues, and
Well, the matter that's before us is the application.
Yeah, which would
So that's
include
either
the
an approval or denial,
correct.
Right.
with staff direction to go back to her.
okay, so it's approval or denial of the acceptance of
Or
the...
table, those are our three options. Approve, deny, or table.
I'd make a motion to deny it and ask that our staff go back and talk to the owner about what it looks like to be incorrect color in regards to the first floor.
Okay, then her only repercussion at that point, she can appeal it to Board of
BZA.
BZA.
Or she can paint it back to the color it was before, which we're not gonna know the exact one of that.
Yeah, exactly,
That's a challenge we may run into, but
exactly.
It's better than what it is now.
But
Well,
never,
either way, if she's gonna have to repaint it, she just needs to give us a color that is.
Yes, they actually
is
use
like
And then
this,
use that actual
or
color.
or is representative. Either way, if she's not going to appeal it, or if she appeals it and loses, then she's gonna have to paint it, and at that point, she has to come back with whatever she's really going to paint, and not the blue that she painted.
I have a question though, if you were denying this application, what you're denying is that the second building can be painted the same as the first. So there's no problem with the paint on the first?
No, we would have to possibly take enforcement action on the first building because she doesn't appear that she actually painted the north building, what she said she was gonna paint.
there's some other issues with the north building. The storefront was supposed to have some work done, the awnings, and then it had some decorative railings added to those windows. She still has some time from that initial approval, so that's why we haven't proceeded with that on 13. I think she has 2 months left. But at that point, we would then evaluate to make sure that everything she did on 13 met that approval on June.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to deny the paint application for 15 South Market Street, which is the south building. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we've got, motion and a second. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Wolke?
Yes.
Mrs. Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mr. Titterington?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Westmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. McGarry?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Okay. And, you will be contacting her about the discrepancies in the,
Yep.
in 13?
We will have to send her an official denial, so, yeah.
Okay.
Would that include that we would be more amenable to what we originally approved? That wasn't
What do you
part of
mean?
the
Well, I
motion.
mean, we didn't rescind that approval, so I would think that we would have to, if they proved that they were actually going to paint this particular color.
But should that not be communicated to her?
I think so.
Okay. Is there any other business before us?
No, sir, thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion.
Have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned.